Hey, Gabriel Blake,
Hey, Gabriel Jose.
where are we today?
We are in my other editing living room. Well, not we. I am, where I've
Yeah,
been for more than 2 months now.
we are saving the distances. Don't worry, dear two people in the audiences, we are respecting the sheltering players ordinance.
Mostly.
So, what did we watch today? And why did we watch this?
We watched the 1995 classic film Clueless.
And why did we actually put ourselves through this?
Um, Part of it was punishment for you making me watch what we watched last week.
The Lost Boys, after you made me watch my my Hunter, Hunters, are you kidding me?
Now, when you had us watch Lost Boys was like a cult classic of the 80s, and it just really reminded me of Clueless, which was, The Lost Boys was a little bit before my time. I absolutely loved Clueless growing up, and I had teased you about watching it for years now, right?
Hmm.
And finally, the time felt right. We're at home, we got plenty of time. We're going to watch Clueless. Jose's going to watch Clueless.
And Jose did watch Clueless. Finally, he did.
So, what'd you think?
So just for summarizing, I mean, the story is basically Emma by Jane Austen, but just mixing up with the 90s and teenagers. So when you watch it, you can just pretend that you are more intellectual than you really are. But the story is about these Beverly Hills Valley girls that they go to high school and they are like really sophisticated from
No,
the
they are not Valley girls. They are very proud to live in Beverly Hills, not the Valley.
but they talk like a Valley girl will talk. There is not too much difference there. But
Sure.
they, so basically, it's like a couple of girls, they are close friends, and basically, it's like the story of their lives. I mean, not the story of their lives, but it's basically like just some months on their lives. There is no really like leitmotif to the movie per se. It's a bit more like they are teenagers and they want to find love. The main character that is played by Alicia Silverstone, she started like just meddling with everyone's lives to just try to prove that she can be a good person, I guess, for just trying to prove her stepbrother Paul Rudd wrong about she being like completely
Former
self-centered.
stepbrother.
Former? Why?
Because Cher's dad was only married to Josh's dad briefly, and they're not real parents.
So I think that is probably like Cher's dad was married to a Josh mother, not
Correct.
father. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry. Everything's gay in my head.
I know it is. Uh, so basically that's the leitmotif. I mean, that's the funny thing that is, I think that is the first point when you start analyzing what have I watched right now, when you start thinking about like, yeah, this is not really like a movie how you usually expect a teenager movie to play out. Like that you expect to be about like, oh yeah, our story ends up with prom or the story ends up with graduation. Is that this is basically just a year on their lives. Is that they are 16 years old, this is that, but
Yeah.
there is no like a goal or anything. It's not like just closing some kind of big area on their lives or anything like that. It's like the next year there could be like a clueless shit. Then it'll be like the second year in high school. So that's the part that I felt like, okay, you are like really shoehorning the story that it could be Emma, into a first year in high school.
So, what are you saying? You loved it?
I'm not saying that. Sorry, I would say as if,
As
as
if.
if. uh, I would say that it's true that the movie when it started, I was hating it with all my heart.
Really?
I was finding like extremely insipid and one of the most boring experiences I ever did in my life. But because I was not the target audience to it,
You're not an American teenager in the 90s?
I'm not. I'm sorry, man. And I understand that you can appreciate it, because they have Radiohead in the soundtrack. I would
They
also
did have
say,
Radiohead.
I could also say that it does the same theme as what was the movie The Lost Boys with the 80s. It's like this is basically like the 90s throwing up on you when they're using the phone, when they're using computers, when they're like like just playing the music. It's like, yeah, you really want us to know that you're in the 90s and that
So I
you're
agree
cool.
that the soundtrack is like, hey, let's get what's super popular this week on the charts. I agree with you on that. And I agree that there's like age things that aged, but they aged well. I don't think like the Lost Boys was so firmly stuck in the 80s. I think that Clueless manages to be a little bit more fluid and that it still feels relevant today, whereas nothing feels relevant about the Lost Boys today.
Mm. So just let's just take a step back. So what is the Lost Boys story compared with the story in Clueless?
Well, they're very different stories. Do you want me to run through a synopsis of both?
Yeah, but basically, it's like you're saying that it's like what the Lost Boys is doing is like completely stuck in the 80s, but what Clueless does is a bit more fluid. That is not only, it's something that is a bit more timeless. I won't call it like fully timeless, but at least like it's something that you could still watch today, and it's a
It
story that is
ages
still,
well.
it is better. It is just
Yeah.
better. So, but if you only analyze the story that the Lost Boys is telling, it's true, it's not based in a Jane Austen novel, but it's an adventure movie about like a new family that moves into a new area, and they have vampires there, and they get involved with that, and they try to kill the vampires. From that perspective, is that can be remade right now. But Clueless, I had a feeling that it has a different. As I didn't grow up with that movie, I found it like extremely aged too. It made me cringe so many times about like how Harry was trying to be cool with the 90s perspective.
Interesting.
But it's like I didn't grow up with that. And when it was just like translating it to the Lost Boys, I was having the feeling of the Lost Boys. I found it endearing, like this kind of when you have a pet that is missing a leg, and it's like, oh, it's endearing how it's jumping around. Is I found exactly the same kind of way. Okay, you are from the 80s, and it's endearing that you're trying so hard. With Clueless, when it was trying so hard to be from the 90s and being cool, I was saying like, this is not working. It's not endearing anymore, but it's doing the same. I didn't feel like it was so different.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe I'm biased because I don't really remember the 80s, but the way that Clueless tapped into the American zeitgeist of the mid 90s was pretty remarkable. Like it wasn't trying to be so 90s, it just was so 90s. Like
Oh, so you're telling me that everyone had a computer for just selecting what they're going to be dressing every single morning?
no, but there's always fantastical elements to every like not these are about kids in Bel Air that did have amazing cars that they couldn't even legally drive yet. They were wearing clothes that most people who saw that movie couldn't afford.
So did you watch Beverly Hills 9210?
90210.
Whatever it's called.
No.
In Spain, it was called Sensación de Vivir, like feeling alive.
No. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. Yeah, that was a good example. So, you told me that you didn't watch the original one, but they actually mentioned Luke Perry here. And probably they mentioned Luke Perry because he was one of the main characters, well, one of the main actors in Beverly Hills 90210.
But I think they mentioned Luke Perry because he was kind of at that time very famously
Be-
like superficially cool.
yeah, because of that. So I don't know if it was like superficially cool or it was a bit more like teenagers who love the guy
No, he
because
was
everyone.
superficially cool. That's the joke in Clueless. It's like this jacket, is it James Dean, which is authentic, or is it what's his name? You just mentioned it.
Luke Perry.
Luke Perry. Sorry, I want to say Rick Perry. Or is it Luke Perry? And she's like, no, you're totally super cool because he was afraid he was lame. That is the joke, I promise.
Okay. I mean, I just thought that, I mean, just thought it's like the feeling that I have with the joke is like, look, teenagers love that show everywhere in the world, not only here in the States. Is that show was huge in Spain and in Europe in general. It's like everyone knows about Luke Perry because of that show.
But that's what this movie was doing. It was subverting that. It was saying he wanted to be authentically cool, like someone cool like James Dean. Please don't make me look like Luke Perry. That's why he seeks. I think the joke was lost on you.
Like, whatever. I had a feeling the whole movie was lost on me.
Well, like you said, you're not the target audience.
I'm not a target audience. I'm not a valley girl in the 90s. So,
No.
I mean,
say that. I feel like, regardless of whether you feel like it was good or not, the audience for this film was and continues to be incredibly broad. This was a film that significantly impacted.
Wait a second. First, is that when we're saying like incredibly broad, that doesn't mean that it's good by any means.
Sure, but you're saying, oh, I wasn't the attended audience because you weren't a Valley Girl. I'm saying this movie appealed to way more than Valley Girls. It appealed to so many different groups and continues to today. So when you just reduce it to be like, oh, only dumb chicks from California are going to be into this, that's not true.
No, I'm just joking for actually just reducing like other people that did like that movie into just being Valley Girls. Like basically, this is a movie that every single gay person loves in the States.
And
what I'm saying is like I'm just joking about that. Is that of course you may have like more appeal because it actually defines a bit more like what the 90s were. Like Reality Bites, for example. Or even the Fight Club. Is that they try to capture what the 90s were. In one way or another, is that they try to be like just completely settled on what the 90s were. Even when you are making the joke, even when you are like making the joke about like Luke Perry, when you're explaining that joke, is that joke is completely related towards a character that it was only famous during the 90s. So that actually just proved that this is not a timeless piece. Is this a timely piece? Because if you actually ask a millennial right now, or even a post-millennial, to watch this movie, is that joke is going to be like completely lost. And it's not about like just lost for me.
It's not. This, I promise you, any millennial that grew up in America has seen this movie. I promise you.
But that's the reason why I said also post-millennials, is that they are like making ton of pop references. That's the reason what I think is that this movie is trying really hard to be from the 90s, as Lost Boys trying to be the 80s. Name another pop culture
reference they make. Because yeah, they do mention Luke Perry, but in the same sentence they mention James Dean and Billie Holiday. They reference a lot of things. Yeah, some of them happen to be contemporary with the 90s. But how can you not reference things that are relevant to the time period where you're filming when it's meant to take place in that time?
Oh, so you're telling me, no, that's not true. That's absolutely false, man. No, you're telling that it's like basically a movie. They don't have any kind of resource for just trying to avoid things that are happening right now. Is that that's not true? I mean, you can see like many movies that they can just be shot at any time.
But my point was you can't mention another pop culture reference, right?
No, because I was not paying attention to the movie. I have to be completely honest. I was not engaged at all.
But the thing you're using to criticize it, you can't even bring evidence. Yes, there was one reference to an actor that was popular at that time. There were like 20 references to people from 50 years before that.
Sure, those come from the gay guy, no?
Yeah, but also Donald Faison when he references a friend of Mary. Like, that's a very old reference. A friend of Dorothy, he was referring to Dorothy from Wizard of Oz. I mean, They referenced all of these films. There was that huge 2001 A Space Odyssey reference. They referenced a lot of things, and it didn't necessarily have to be because it was super popular in 1995 when they made this.
All right. Yeah.
You didn't catch that when they show her her black cordless phone, and it pans up and it plays the incredibly famous 2001 A Space Odyssey, and it's supposed to be the apes around the black box. Come on, man. You must have not watched it because it's so obvious.
No, I mean, I had to say that it was playing on the background, and my interest was pretty low. Sorry, man. But it's like one of those.
Sorry, what'd you say? What was low?
My interest was like pretty low.
But then you can't dismiss a film that you didn't even watch.
No, I mean, it was playing on the background, but it's like, once again, it's like teenager films. It's like, it's something that doesn't appeal to me. I didn't grow up here. Anything that is like just high school related, I cannot relate to it.
But I mean, the point of this podcast is to introduce each other to films that we wouldn't typically watch on our own, right?
No, it's not about like typically watch. It's things, it's films that we actually think that they are good or interesting in some kind of way.
No, I disagree. That's an aspect to it, but also part of this is sharing films that we love that the other person hadn't seen.
Sure, but that's different from exactly what you said 30 seconds ago. That is like, it's about like just watching films that the other person wouldn't normally watch.
I said introducing. You would not normally watch Clueless. It's a film
I
I
wouldn't.
love. I asked you to watch it and you didn't watch it.
I watched it. It was playing on the
No, you
background.
didn't. You said you had it in the background and had no interest in it.
I mean, I started watching it, and it's true. It's like it was just playing, and I was just looking at it. But there were like some times that I was just staring at my phone because I didn't have any kind of interest. I mean, if you want, we can just cut it here.
No, I'm just surprised you didn't watch it. I mean, you should have just said, hey, I don't want to discuss this film.
No, I mean, we can discuss it, but it's like it's something that from the beginning, and I have the feeling that it's like it ends significantly better than it starts. But once again, I had the feeling that it's like completely culturally anchored in the 90s. And if you grow up with that kind of culture, it's something that is going to be appealing way more to you. For me, it's something that is completely alien. It feels like many. I don't see too much of a difference between Saved by the Bell and this.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe it's a cultural bias, but I don't think so. This is a film, I believe, that's aged well. I mean, just go to YouTube right now. You can watch modern good film critics explain why this is a film that has aged so well.
Are those film critics American?
I assume so. I consume American media.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's like I think that this is something that it may appeal to the American sensibility, you know, but I think that it's like completely stuck in what are the American forms. That's the same feeling that I have with Heathers, the same feeling that I had with Mingos.
But don't you think there's something valuable about you watching something that's so deeply American? And for instance, you showing me a film that's deeply Spanish? Like, there's something interesting.
What show did I show you that is deeply Spanish?
No. I'm saying hypothetically, isn't that kind of cool about having that conversation about
Yeah,
something so far outside?
if it tries to be more than a high school movie, yeah, I would say so. But it's a high school movie. It's like at the end of the day, it's like I don't think that it tries to do more than it actually just sets itself to do. It's like it's a high school movie with a high school drama. And from that perspective, I felt like it's okay, but it doesn't tell me anything. The only thing that I felt surprised about this movie is just having a Radiohead song.
But wait. The Lost Boys is deeply entrenched in Americanism, and it was worse than this movie, but you found that interesting.
I found that interesting
That
because,
movie was nothing more than a teenage horror film.
yeah, I agree with that. But I told you earlier that it's like I found how the Lost Boys was trying to make its way. I found it endearing, but I may be like a bit more biased because I'm older than you, and I find when the 80s films trying to be like really 80s, endearing. But
How
they try
old were
to.
you when the 80s ended?
I was born in 1980,
Okay.
so I have recollection of the 80s. If that's the question. But from the perspective, is I think that both of them they are like completely stuck on the decade that they were shot.
No, it's fine that you didn't like the movie. I just would have appreciated if you had paid attention to it. Like, when I saw that 2001 reference, I was like, I got excited. I thought you would find it amusing.
I miss it completely. I mean, maybe my version was missing that. Let me just check. But Clueless, 2001. Oh, yeah, no, I saw that when he actually there is like a were they playing the song?
Yeah, they were.
I didn't hear the song. I saw the monolith kind of how do you say, or I didn't give any kind of importance. Yeah, and I actually think that he said that it was like Comcast or something. You can actually see like the brand on
Of
the
the
yeah on the phone. But I didn't realize about the music. I just felt like sure. I mean, she's in her room,
Yeah,
like
the set
just
that they have
folding
to do.
some
Yeah.
clothes. Yeah, like folding some clothes on the bed, or just looking at some clothes on the bed. Yeah, no, man. I mean, it was not that I was. Now that I actually see the thing again, it's like it's not that I was not watching it. It's a bit more like just I was disconnected. It's like my brain just said like there is nothing here that you're going to be like taken away from this movie.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I mean, I'm sorry because even today I was when you sent me that video of Roger Ebert, and he was saying that this is smarter than it looks, and they were playing a scene with Alicia Silverstone like receiving some flowers on her desk. It's like I was saying that it's like I didn't watch that. I didn't watch that scene. Honestly, that scene was missing on my film because I remember that I started like paying a bit more of attention at that point. But it's like most of the time I was just looking at the screen. It was more on my phone, But I don't remember that part. And it's like I don't know. I mean, there is something on me, and I was even thinking about it. It's like I think that it's like I'm biased against the '90s compared with the '80s.
Which is weird because the 80s suck.
I'm not saying no. I mean, I'm agreeing with you. The '80s were fucking weird, and not weird in a good sense. And the '90s were a bit more angsty. But when I think about the music that I like, it's more from the '90s than from the '80s. But I
You
don't know
mean vice
why.
versa?
No, I actually say the '90s. I mean, for example, when they play Radiohead, it's like, wow, I wasn't expecting them to actually have good music on this.
When are the Pet Shop Boys famous?
Oh, they were
Weren't they
from
in
the
the
'80s.
80s?
Yeah, they were in the '80s.
And
But Björk is the '90s.
what's the other band that you love that you've seen so many times?
The Depeche Mode is from the '80s too. It's late
I think you like 80s more
'80s.
than 90s music.
I like both of them. When I actually like Radiohead and Björk, you know?
Yeah, those are definitely killer.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think that there is anything wrong. I think it's not about like I'm the target and I'm not going to be like just joking again with I'm not a Bali girl. It's like I'm not an American. And
Yeah, no, you were definitely not the audience for this.
I mean, did you ask Pablo to watch this? Have he ever watched it?
No, he hasn't seen it.
So, well, I mean, it's true that maybe there is some kind of age difference there too, but it's like my high school experience is not anything similar to this. And no
And neither was
one's,
mine. Nobody has that life. That's in a movie, man.
sure, sure, you don't live in Beverly Hills and you're not like the rich daughter of a lawyer. But what I'm saying is like, even for me, like the high level concept of high school is completely different in Spain. Is that from my perspective, is that sure, during the 90s, I was in high school. I could be relating to this. I should be able to relate to this, but I don't at all. So I don't know. I mean, I appreciate now that I watch also Emma, like trying to compare the story of what is like, okay, I can see it, like what the correlations are, how the characters do like similar things, but the things in Emma, the main character, Anna Taylor-Joy was her name?
The actress, I don't know who it is.
Yeah, in Emma. So I had the feeling that she's less dumb than Alicia Silverstone. They play quite a bit with Alicia Silverstone, like just being basic several times. Is that some of the characters around her circle, they're smart, like Paul Rudd or the gay guy, is that they're smart. But Alicia Silverstone is like just playing with like, no, she's like this kind of swallow, superficial rich girl.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you to an extent, but that's when she realizes she needs to make herself more well-rounded. And then when she starts taking a genuine interest in other things, it changes. And then her whole world is shifted because she doesn't know all the things she used up until that point became useless.
What was the last? I'm trying to think when she kisses Paul Rudd's character is after they kick out the other lawyer from the
He doesn't
house.
get kicked out. The lawyer gets pissed off and leaves.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think what was prior to that scene. Oh, she was doing like the
Pismo
collaborating with
Beach disaster.
the what?
The Pismo Beach disaster.
Pismo
Wasn't it
Beach.
the whole disaster relief that she was leading?
Yeah. She was doing that. Yeah, so it's true. It's true that she actually progressed, but I had a feeling that she progressed at the end. A bit more like, okay, now her life is better. Now she has become a better person, where she has been like damp as a rock for most of the movie. Not damp as a rock, a bit more like just a swallow as a paddle.
Sorry, what?
A swallow as a poodle, is it called? Poodle? No, not poodle. Poodle is the dog. Charcoal. Paddle.
Shallow as a puddle.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got it.
yeah.
Well,
I mean, I had to say that at least I checked it a couple of times, at least when the time of Di tells her, like, you are a virgin and you who cannot drive. That is like, it's so out of the blue kind of a stupid insult that I feel like, sure, yeah, this, I had to laugh at this. And I like it a bit more than I was expecting.
oh, well, that's something.
That's something because I had like pretty, pretty, pretty low expectations. And I understand, that is like it's a bit smarter than what is your average teenager movie. As you mentioned, is that the kind of 90s references that they may do, they may actually try to target a different kind of the audience that is not only teenager people.
This film got a very good score on the Bechdel test, which is
On
incredibly uncommon at the time.
on the what? Sorry,
The Bechdel test.
Bactel test. What is that?
It's a test that like women are treated as very
Oh,
like they have to have conversations that aren't about men, and this has a ton of them where they're talking about different things, about their grades, about their plans, about their futures.
they talk about like a lot about guys.
They do, but the Bechdel test it just has to have two women with characters
Yeah,
with names that have a
yeah,
conversation with that, and movies don't have that, and this one did a lot.
yeah.
And it was pretty brave to have a gay character in
Yeah.
1995. That didn't just happen.
Yeah, that I had the feeling that that's like the part I was like pretty impressed because even when they actually out him as gay, they don't make fun out of that.
Yeah,
And they
yeah.
also,
It doesn't matter that he's gay. They're just like,
yeah,
oh, he's gay. She
yeah, he
babysitted
cannot
a gay
be,
guy.
yeah, and he cannot actually be like his gay interest, his her love interest. And they also mentioned that the PE teacher is a lesbian.
Yeah, that was a little obnoxious.
There was a bit of obnoxious, but at least, that they play with the stereotype, it's like, okay, female PE teachers are going to be lesbians, but they don't make fun out of it.
Yeah, they're never mean. Nothing about this. I mean, bad things happen, but there's no cynicism in it. And it's pretty uncommon for a teenage high school film to have the main character just trying to be a better person consistently, whether or not they're succeeding. I don't think you can name a character where they're just like trying to be a better person. That's the point of her journey.
As good as it gets.
It's not a high school movie. That's like about
I know, but you say like then you actually change like the main character like trying to be a better person. That's what that movie is about.
oh yeah, I can remember Jack Nicholson. I'm trying
Yeah,
to be a better
Nicholson.
person.
Yeah, like Helen Hunt, you make me want to be a better person.
Oh,
Uh,
that's what it is.
yeah, Helen Hunt with Helen Hunt. No, I didn't hate it. I just have the feeling that it's a look. I'm not watching this in the correct time frame. And I didn't
Because it's
experience
not
this.
1995.
95, or I didn't actually live up like what was like the consequences of this movie.
It's crazy. It's 25 years ago this year.
Yeah. So I understand. I saw with Marcos the a scene of when they go into the highway. That scene also made me chuckle like once or twice. Like okay, sure. Uh, and look, the thing is like I actually see that they try to mix up the idea of how do you say, like trying to be a bit more sophisticated with what they are doing with a stupid stuff that is like target completely to teenagers, like when they're in the highway, when the debate, class, that everyone's like just doing something different and ignoring and then Cher like just go out and gives like a impossible speech. I think that I just dress different clothes, so refugees should be treated better.
No, you're wrong on that. That shit was hilarious. If the government could just get to the kitchen and shuffle some things around, we could definitely party with the Haitians. No, that's funny. You're missing it.
I'm sorry, man, but I just felt that look, I don't know who is this targeted to. It's like as a grown up, it's like I don't find it funny. I find it like just insulting. Like just trying to be like just a bit more reductionist. And for a teenager, I have a feeling that it's going to be like, what is the point of this? Just about like a group of teenagers ignoring a grown up? I can get into that.
See, I believe you don't like it, but your arguments are completely flat because everything that you loved about The Lost Boys is what you hate about Clueless. Like,
No.
the lines they say are so stupid in that. The dialogue is so shitty. It's so 80s where they try and use these like catchphrases.
Wait
of
a
80s
second.
slang.
No, wait a second. You're getting this completely wrong. Actually, what I like about The Lost Boys is that it doesn't try to be pretentious. And exactly what you're defending about Clueless is that it's smarter than it actually looks. And it
Wait, you
actually is that
think
just give.
you think Clueless is pretentious?
No,
I
what
think
you're
the whole
saying.
great thing about Clueless is that it doesn't take itself seriously at all. It has no ideas that it's like this smart movie. It just embraces being genuinely
Wait,
funny.
wait. You're telling me that, but it's like at the same time, you're telling me that when they are giving the Luke Perry reference, they are like just referencing other people from the 50s to now when they're actually talking about this joke on the class is that they are actually just making like a smart joke. So you are saying that Clueless actually can play on a second level. There is not only like face value, that there is more to it.
No. I was responding to your comment about how you couldn't appreciate this as a full-grown adult. This is not for you. And I said, but Lost Boys is for
Oh
teenagers and you
no,
loved it.
but is that that's the thing? Is that the Lost Boys, not that they are for teenagers. They don't try to be anything else. They don't try to have like a second layer, about like, oh no, there is more to this than it meets the eyes. Is that look,
And do you think
this is
Clueless
for
did that?
15. I think that Clueless does. At least I want to think that that's the reason why so many grown-ups like that movie.
Well, it could also be just because we grew up with it.
But it's like, as you told me, it's like, for example, how many 90s kids, exactly like we were describing earlier when I was telling you that this is for Valley girls, and you told me that no, it's not. It's like how many people that they are like teenagers in the 90s that they watch this, they will understand all the references they were given to classic cinema or even to gay people.
How many of them would understand like the
Yeah.
references within it?
Yeah, or just friends with Dorothy, as you also mentioned, is that, or the 2001, all those references that you mentioned, is that those are not for the average teenager in the 90s. The Lost Boys is for the average teenager in the 80s.
So you feel like Clueless is pretentious because they reference things that everyone's not going to get?
No, what I'm saying is like Clueless is not only a teenager movie.
What is it besides that?
It's actually for people that they are on the 90s. It's basically like Mean Girls, for example, written by Tina Fey, is going to have like references that are not only for teenagers in the 2000s. They're also going to be to people that they are like living in the 2000s. That's the reason why I was asking you, what about like post-millennials, people that they are right now under 18, 20 years old? They're probably not going to be like just following some of the references from Clueless at that time because they didn't actually have the current time references and they haven't grown up old enough for just catching the references that they are like from other times.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm not saying, look, I don't think that this is a failed movie or anything. I'm going to be like giving you your score now, so we actually just leave that on the table. My score is a 5,
Huh, I was going to give it a 7.
and that's fine, but it's like it's exactly as we discussed with the Lost Boys. Is that look, this I don't feel like this is a timeless piece. I think that it's timeless from the perspective of just taking Emma and just doing a different setting. That's the reason why I give it a 5. From the perspective is that look, this is still like just more or less
So you think this is like a
truthful.
perfectly average film?
I think that it is for an 80s film, for teenagers. I think that is fine. But the problem is that if I had a teenager daughter right now, and I was talking about like different movies, that they could actually watch, probably I wouldn't really recommend this. And not because I had this, I would be
So
afraid about it.
what's a smart teenage movie that you would recommend to your teenage kid?
The Princess Bride, The Fall.
Are you joking?
With The Fall, I am. With The Princess Bride, I think everyone loves The Princess Bride.
I really hate that movie. I think the comedy
Why?
is so fucking stupid. Anyway, let's not get into another. We won't talk about that.
No, but the thing is, like, I haven't, look, even when I was a teenager, I was not consuming teenager films because I always found it stupid. A scary movie. I remember, like, just a scary movie when I was, like, 19, 20 years, or American Pie when I was 19 or 20 years old. And I realized, like, this is fucking retarded. Is that this is not retarded. This is better. This is significantly better than all of those movies. It's not actually just trying to be pretty crass about it. As you said, it's cool that there is no evil. There is no too much sassiness on it. Well, there is a bit of sassiness with all the as if, or when they're like the scene when everyone is talking with the PE teacher with the tennis machine. Tennis shooting machine.
That line was funny. My doctor doesn't want me doing any activities where balls fly up my nose.
Here you go, your social life. Yeah, that's chocolate, okay. Okay, I can see like many gay people saying that.
So
But
were you familiar with this when that, the kind of like bitchy girl goes, whatever?
no, I had
You've never
never
seen
seen
that
that.
before?
Maybe
That was
Alan told me that.
huge in the
Yeah.
90s in America, and it all came from that film.
Yeah, but that's the reason, it's like when you and Marcus were saying like this movie was extremely influential, is that it was influential during the 90s and probably early 2000s,
Well, yeah, but that's like saying Avatar had a pop culture impact in 2007, but it doesn't in 2020.
Do you think that Avatar had like a big pop influence beside ton of movies being on 3D?
Mm, no, but my point is, you can't expect a movie to have a pop culture influence 25 years after.
No. I understand that. I understand that. And that's the reason why I don't relate to this movie. The same way that it's like when I look at The Lost Boys, like, sure, this was entertaining, but it's like I didn't grow up with this. I'm not going to be like giving it, sorry, you gave it a 6.5. I wouldn't because I didn't grow up with that. I don't relate to the movie besides from
What
the
did you give
perspectives.
Lost Boys?
5.
You gave Lost Boys a 5, and you gave this one
Clueless a
a
5.
5?
Yeah. But I apply the same kind of criteria. It's like, do I recommend this to other people? I had the feeling that I would recommend The Lost Boys easier than Clueless. It
See,
would
I would
depend
feel
on the person.
guilty recommending Lost Boys because I don't feel like it's a good film. I feel like I would have wasted that person's time, but I wouldn't feel that with recommending Clueless. Well,
Uh,
and I would be wrong. I should feel bad for recommending this to you.
you
Know your
shouldn't feel
audience.
it. I mean, look, you shouldn't feel bad. It's like I had a feeling that you could recommend to your average friend that is like, if they haven't watched Clueless, probably you would recommend it. And nine out of 10 people that you recommend this movie, they would like it because they grew up in the 90s in the States. Did you ever recommend this movie to Pablo?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, then you actually just brought it up to 8 out of 10.
No, I would definitely recommend this to Pablo. In
But
fact, he was bummed that I watched it without him.
why would you recommend it to him? What was the reason why you recommended it to him?
Because I genuinely think it's a good movie.
Okay.
And he likes comedy.
Okay. I mean, the thing is, like, I don't like comedy too much.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of comedy. I'm trying to think. Maybe just
I mean,
comedies I grew up with.
well, you like A Christmas Tale, and it's half comedy. The other half
Yeah,
is
that's
like
true.
pretty fucking
That's
dark.
black. That's black
Yeah,
comedy. So I
that's
liked
fair.
In Bruges. Yeah, I laughed my head off in Bruges.
But no, I mean, I don't want you to think that it's like I felt like I wasted my time or I was not watching it, you know? It's like I just had the feeling that is that my brain was like just paying the needed attention about like what is going on.
Well, I mean, if it didn't speak to you, it didn't speak to you.
Yeah, but it's like I don't think that it was bad. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone, probably, because most of the people that I know is like I just consider them. Sorry, no, let me just rephrase this because it's going to be like sound pretty bad. But most of the people that I know, I just met them here in the States 9 years ago. So I cannot really think of them as teenagers or like the target audience, or just thinking about them like growing in the 90s in the States. So from that perspective, I feel like they may not enjoy this. When I think about my friends in Spain, I will never recommend this movie. Never.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
So that's one. If I'm going to be remembering this movie, probably I will remember it. Is that my brain is going to have like this kind of flag activated, just in case that someone mentions you should watch Clueless. About like I already watched it. Like just please stop. Stop talking to me.
Well, now you can proudly talk to Edwin about it.
Oh, was yeah, I didn't like this one, but I also watched Within Heathers, and I wonder if Heathers age better or not. Probably not.
I've never seen Heather's,
I'm not going to ask you to watch Heathers.
but I did like The Breakfast Club. Is it as good as The Breakfast Club?
There is a movie called The Breakfast Club. I never watched it.
Right, but oh, you haven't seen it. I said I liked The Breakfast Club, and it takes place in the 80s. So
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So maybe like something similar to that. And then from an aesthetic perspective, I don't think that this like is a bit more of a sample of what the 90s were, but it's also 95, no?
yeah. So if you
It's,
think that it was filmed in '94,
yeah, there is still some stuff that I feel like this could be late 80s. It's true I don't have like
yeah,
the shirt that the kids from the Lost Boys wear, but there is still some stuff that is like, wow, that's not fashion.
yes, it definitely has both that late '80s feel, but it also fully embraces, particularly like the grunge. The grunge aspect was everywhere, like the Nirvana influence.
Strange when they didn't use any Nirvana song.
Probably because they couldn't get the rights to it. Do you think Nirvana at that time was like, yeah, use our song in this teenage movie?
And Tom York, the guy that he was talking about Spotify, like the last part of that industry, could actually give the license for using plastic pictures.
Do you think that Nirvana owned their original music?
No, I think that is a studio.
I kind of just made an assumption that they were like an independent sort of group because they were playing in all those Seattle clubs.
But Pearl Jam did the same, and I'm pretty sure that Pearl Jam was what, Sony? Let me just think. Well, I cannot find it right away, but it's like I think that most of those really big bands they didn't become famous because of being independent. I think. So I think that they try to. That's the thing is like when you actually listen to the rest of the soundtrack that they have No Doubt and other bands, it's like it's pretty 90s. The only one that I was like just listening to and I felt like really surprised it was sorry, it was Radiohead, but it was a bit more from the perspective of looking in perspective. Radiohead was a timeless band.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure that 20 years in the future, when people go back and listen to this, it's going to be like the feeling that we have right now when we listen to, I don't know, Rolling Stones. That is like, wow, they were like a really good band, or the Beatles. He said, yeah, this was a really good band.
Yeah, the soundtrack was definitely firmly in the '90s.
Yeah. But it was good. It was a good representation of what the 90s were about, you know. I felt like it was a bit more like heavy-handed from the perspective, okay, we have like these 10 songs that we have to stretch. And I think that they played how do you say, the riff from
Well,
the
the Counting
Radiohead.
Crows, they were a big deal.
Yeah. But
Beastie Boys,
oh, they played
Mighty
Beastie
Mighty
Boys.
Boss Tones.
That's,
Coolio, Supergrass.
yeah, that's why they play Super. That's true. But they play the riff from Fake Plastic Trees a couple of times, no? When there is
But
like
they,
a sad interlude.
when she's walking around talking about when she realizes she's in love with Josh, they're definitely playing it there, right?
I had a feeling that they play a couple of times, not only that time.
And then one time where Josh comes to stay with them, and she's like, "Wah wah wah! What is it with college and crybaby music?"
Oh, that's
That
right.
was
Yeah,
Radiohead too. Yeah.
yeah, Oof.
I don't. Are
Yeah.
we recording anymore? Because I have to go. I'm super late for a family Zoom. I didn't
Oh,
think we would
okay.
keep going this long.
Yeah, no worries. What is your score?
Seven. Oh no, wait. Yes, 7, which makes
7?
sense because this is better than the Lost Boys.
Okay, that's cool. So the average is a 6. There was a difference of 2 points. Okay, man. Yeah. So I will let you know what is the movie for next week.
It better not be Heather's.
It won't be Heather's ever. Don't worry.
All right.
All right, man.
Good
Good.
chat.
Yeah.
Later.
See ya.